today in this session we are going to discuss about the architecture of Spark application. In this Spark architecture application, we are going to see the different components which are involved in executing the Spark application. Okay, and we will see one by one. So one of the component which we'll see, which should know that about the architecture of the Spark application is your Spark driver. The first one is your Spark driver, and we have seen the Spark driver earlier also, but let's see this Spark driver in little detail. So when I say Spark driver, you can say Spark driver is a process where main method of the program runs. So it is something like if you know the Java programming, then in that also we have a main method. Okay, so it is something similar to that. It drives the program executions. So now you can say that the Spark driver is actually a process in the driver seat. That is why it named called as a Spark driver, the driver seat. And it converts user program, so whatever the program we writes, into tasks. Okay. Now after converting, you can say it schedule task for execution, and it also act as a controller of execution, means it will act as a controller of the execution of the Spark application. It is taking responsibility of everything just to initiate. Okay. So while executing, it will also maintain the state, or we can say maintain the state or all the state of your Spark cluster. So when I say state, I mean to say that state, or like you can say task of execution. Right. Now this Spark driver can also interface with cluster manager. Okay, and it interfaces with the cluster manager so that it can get some physical resources. So it can get some physical resources from that. So now if I see it completely, so I can think this whole Spark driver responsibility, we can say that this is a process which is responsible for maintaining state of the application running in the cluster. Okay, so this is about the Spark driver. Now the other component, just to understand the architecture, is like your Spark executor. The second one you can say is a Spark executor. So when I say Spark executor is actually your worker process, which is responsible for running the individual, which is responsible for running individual tasks. The job is divided into tasks, individual task in Spark job. Right? When I say the role of the Spark executor, then we can say that these roles are roles like it take tasks or which are assigned by the drivers. Then it runs the tasks. Then after that it returns report in the sense of what is the state or results, report back to the driver. Okay. Now the Spark executor provides in-memory storage for this RDD through a service called block manager, which is very important. Okay, it provides the in-memory storage for that. Now each application which you are running, or each Spark, I should write each Spark application has own separator, or you can say own separate executors process. Each application will have a separate executor process. Okay, so this is a Spark executor which is responsible for assigning the, you can say executing the task. Okay, then it will send the result to the back to the driver. Now the third component is your cluster manager. So this cluster manager actually maintain cluster of machines. So this cluster manager contains or it has a master, which we also called as a driver, and this driver is different from the Spark driver. It is a master which is also called a driver, and worker. So master and worker it is having, and which is actually you can say tied to physical machine, not to process. Okay. So now the cluster manager is responsible for managing the machine. Is responsible for managing the machine. Okay, which machine where the application is running on, right? Now this cluster manager here, Spark supports three cluster manager, supports three cluster manager, three kinds of cluster manager. One is a standalone, and another is an Apache Mesos, and third one is your Yarn. Now it is also supporting nowadays Confluent Cloud, also supporting Kubernetes, though I'm not getting into the detail of its Kubernetes, so I'm just writing it is a three part. Right. So now if you see this cluster manager, so I told you there is a master which is called a driver. So this driver is something different. This is your cluster driver node, and here we have different cluster worker nodes. So now this red one is your cluster worker process, and this green one is your cluster driver or master process. So this architecture is about the this is a cluster driver and worker. Okay, so this is a cluster driver and worker. It is not a no Spark application. Means I'm not talking about the Spark application, but I'm talking about the cluster environment. Okay, so this was the cluster manager. Now if we see the next one, the next component is your Spark application. The very interesting thing about this Spark application is that we know that this Spark shell is also a type of Spark application, okay, which is written in Scala, and Spark shell using, like if you say PySpark or Spark shell, either we use PySpark or Spark shell, that is actually your interactive process. But if we talk about the Spark application, the Spark application using Spark Submit, so you have to write a command called Spark Submit, and I am going to tell you this about this command. So this Spark Submit is for batch processing, where you can say fire and forget. Okay. Now the Spark shell manages the life cycle of the Spark context object. Okay, and in Spark application, the developer need to explicitly create or like explicitly create or start and stop the Spark context. So now we can say that we have two types of application. The first one is your interactive, and another one is your batch, and you can say standalone application. Now in the interactive we have PySpark. So either we can use PySpark, which is written in Python, or we write code in Python, or we can use Spark shell, which we write code in Scala. Even in Python we have two commands, like we can either use command line or we can use some kind of a notebook called just like a Jupyter. Okay, so this behavior here, the framework will manage the life cycle of the SC life cycle. Okay, that means the framework will create SC, or you can say stop SC. But in bash mode or standalone mode, the developer manage the life cycle of Spark context. Just I am writing code like code snippet SC is equal to Spark context, and you need to create a variable, and then you write some code, and then finally you have to write stop method. So you have to create a node in the application, in the Spark application. Okay, so this is about the Spark application. Now another thing, very interesting and very important thing in the Spark application is Spark Submit. Okay, so this is your fifth one, is your Spark Submit. So Spark Submit actually send the application code to the cluster, and then after that it launches it to execute. So now the Spark Submit offers a controls. The control just to specify the resources that your application needs using some command line, or you can say command line arguments, and I will talk about these arguments. Okay, if you use Scala, then in Scala we will write Spark -submit, and this Spark Submit is used to submit the application. We are not using interactive mode, now we are using batch mode. So Spark Submit - class, and then let's say your class name is word count, and then you will say - master, and you are saying master is local, and then you will write, let's say, myjar.jar file, and then you will give the file URL of the jar. This is your Scala. Similarly, you can use Python. In Python, you will write Spark Submit - master, and then you can say that local, and your class names like word count.py file, Python file, and then your file URL. So this is the two different commands to execute your Spark Submit, or execute your application through Spark application through Spark Submit. Okay. The interesting thing is very interesting thing about is that by changing the master, you can submit application to cluster. Okay, and the clusters are like Yarn, Mesos, and Standard. Okay, so this is about the Spark application, the framework, or you can say architecture of the Spark application. So now let's see the another very interesting thing is your execution modes. We have two different execution mode. First one is your non-cluster mode. Another one is your cluster mode. In non-cluster mode, we have a local mode, and this local mode you can write in local one is your thread, local n, or you can use local star. Here star means that you can use many threads, depends upon the number of cores available in the machine. Okay, or instead of that, you can use local, which we have used in the previous command. So you can use local. So this is local mode. Here you are using the single machine, your machine. In cluster mode, the first cluster mode, we have different cluster mode. The first one is your Yarn. So in Yarn, we have a Yarn client, and we have a Yarn cluster. This Yarn client is used for interactive mode. This Yarn client is interactive, and it is used for data exploration. On the other hand, Yarn cluster is your batch mode, which says that fire and forget. Okay, and in this cluster mode, your driver is in your application master. Another cluster mode is your Mesos. Mesos was the first platform supported by Spark, and it is not supported by Cloudera. There is no Cloudera support on this. Third one is your standalone mode. In standalone mode, we have services. So we have services like resource manager and block manager. And this block manager, we have just discussed that it is used to bring the RDDs in memory. Okay, we will provide support for in memory. So in this standalone mode is actually a part of your Spark application. It is a part of Spark distribution. In the standalone mode, we have a daemons. The daemon name is worker and master. And this cluster mode is built with Java. But this cluster mode is, you can say, standalone mode, which is comes under the cluster mode, is not very scalable because it is basically used for quick development, like testing and learning, those kind of purposes. Okay, so these are the execution mode. We are going to see this code in the real scenarios also. Okay, now let's move to the argument. Let's see some other part of the argument. So what are the different arguments while executing the Spark application? So we have many arguments. Let's say first argument is --py files. Another argument is executor -memory. Third, you can say --, jars. Another one, you can say --, packages. So these are the different arguments you can use, and many more are there for which you can see the documentation, but we will discuss few of them. Another is called driver memory. It is completely different from the executor memory. So help. Okay. So now when I say --, file, this is for additional Python file. Okay, if you want to add some more Python files, you can use this arguments in the command line. Another one is executor memory. When I say executor memory, I mean to say that memory per executor. If you assign any memory, then it will be the memory of every executor. Jar file means if you want to provide some additional jars, so you can use this command. Package is used for Maven coordinate. Okay, Maven coordinates of jar files, just to include on the driver and in the execution class path. Okay, so these are the packages. Config is used for like Spark configuration properties. Driver memory is your max heap size. Driver memory is your max heap size. Last but not the least, help is it will show all available options. So these are the arguments you can assign with this Spark exits with Spark submit. Now similarly to this argument, you can also write these things in also write these things programmatically. Okay, so programmatically we need to use SC variable, and with SC variable I can write, let's say set app name, and I will provide the name, and we can also write set master. Here I will give the master name, or you can say call set property and then property name and the value. Okay, the same thing you can also assign through the programmatically, just like the arguments. Okay, so now I'll talk about the logging. Okay, so logging is very important part. So what is the logging in the Spark? So actually logging is where we maintain the log for the any kind of problem or in any kind of success failure. So different activities are there, just which are captured in the files, the log file. So what happened? Spark uses Apache Log4j for your logging, and you can enable or disable logging. So it is having you can set logging levels, the different logging level you can set, like debug, and these are in capital: info, warn, error, fatal. Different logging levels you can set. Okay, how you can set the logging level? Simply write you can simply write sc spark context dot set log level, and you will write, let's say, error. You have to write in capital. So this is your logging level. Now when we set the logging level, we can set some we can select the output destination also. Output destination, right? The output destination is where our actual log files are stored. It is a local file system. You can also give this also. And the logging depends on the cluster management platform. So logging depends on the cluster management platform. Okay, let's say just we have a yarn. So now in the yarn, you can do log aggregation is off. So you can set log aggregation is off. When I say log off, the log will stored on each worker node. Okay, and when we set this logging level on, then log will stored in HDFS. Okay, so the default value of these log files are where logs Hadoop yarn. So when I say this, so I'm talking about the Cloudera quick start virtual machine. Okay. Now very interesting thing you might see in the hands-on also. So with yarn, if you are using a yarn, because we have done yarn in the last session, different training. So yarn application, and then you can write list. So it will give you all the application listed with the application ID. Then you can apply some command like yarn logs and hyphen application ID, and here you can provide the ID for this application, and this ID you will get from here. Okay, so this is about the logging. This is overall about the Spark application and how we can execute the Spark application. So this is about the architecture of the Spark application. So now if we summarize this into like run Spark application, so I can write in short that what happened exactly. So you can say first user submit application using Spark submit through the command line prompt. Now Spark submit launch driver or driver program. Okay, and then it invoke the main method. Now the driver program will contact cluster manager to ask some resources, and these resources needed to launch the executor. Right now in this we have a cluster manager. The cluster manager launches executor on behalf of the driver program, on behalf of driver program. Right now the driver, the Spark driver will send work to execute, okay, in the form of tasks. Now these tasks runs on executor just to compute and save results. Now in the end, if the driver main function exits or some sc.stop is being called, so what it will do, it will terminate the executors and release resources from cluster manager. Okay, so that this exit and the stop function of the Spark context will terminate the executor, and then it will give you the resources, resurrect the resources. That means you can reclaim the resources from the cluster manager. So this is all about the Spark applications architecture. Okay, thank you.